you filming? Okay. Just for the Aussie hobby machinist group, there was a post a second ago, I think a guy talking about wanting to scrape his tree mill and about making a scraper, and a few of the guys are interested for the class about making their own. You can go about and you can get a file if you want, and you can grind it and lap it, and it will work relatively well. But if you want to do any decent amount of scraping, it's just going to be exhausting in terms of how many times you're going to have to lap that blade. Modern carbide scraper blades, which are just K10 grade carbide, you lap them once and you'll get hours of scraping out of them and you get a far superior finish. So the Sandvik blades come on their broad faces with a mirror finish, and that's actually relatively important in that if you're grinding a file up, or if you're making your own, or even if you're using flat carbide stock, if you've got a rough finish on there, even if your front edge that you've ground, your -5 or your -8 degree rake is pretty good, it'll act like a form tool and you'll sort of get striations in the work, like a really shitty finish. So just go out, buy a Sandvik blade. They're kind of pricey. If you don't want to buy the Sandvik ones, there's a Russian guy on eBay, I can link him later, that sells them a bit cheaper. And then Sandvik also make scraper handles. I think they're probably not that expensive, and they're sort of a file style like that. A lot of people like them for finishing. I can't stand them. My preferred style, which a lot of people when they use really take to it, is this sort of mushroom grip. And you can basically have your whole palm on there, you can put a lot of force, but you've got really good sort of tip control when you're working. And then if you want to rough, and I do all my roughing by hand. Like I've got a biax and I use it for finishing, and it's fantastic for that. And it's exhausting for me, but I can remove material a lot faster with a hand scraper like this, in that you can shoulder it, you can work with your whole body to rough down. Like if you've got a big casting, like a grinder base, and you need to pull a lot of material off, you go off the shoulder, you can work off the hip, and then even if you're roughing by hand, it's a lot more comfortable. Because I'm so used to this style now, if I go to mates' places and I use their scrapers of this style, I'll often try and shoulder them, and with how hard you have to go with roughing, you actually get a bruise up on your shoulder. Richard King does this thing where he gets the, I think the 4 or 5 inch sanding pads and screws them to the end of a files type one, and that works alright, but you're limited to just going off the shoulder. Having that sort of mushroom pattern kind of gives you the best of both worlds. And this scraper blade, or sorry, the scraper handle, is just 25x6mm stainless. This is one that a local blacksmith just made up for me. He made quite a few. And this one hasn't been relieved yet. It's a little bit stiff. It's got enough springiness that I can work with it. But when you make up your scraper, it's worth taking an end mill, like a 3/8 or a 10mm end mill, and just relieving in the middle, about 1-2 mil deep, just to give it a bit of spring, and it will, one, improve your finish a little bit. It'll make it a little less jackhammery, and Jeffrey, sorry, little shop dog. Anyway, sorry, distracted by the dog. Do you want to stop that story? Oh, okay. No, we'll keep going.